Mic check. Mic check. One, two, three. Mic check. One, two, one, two. Mic check. One, two, three. So I'm trying to give a couple minutes for people to get notified. I do know this is a day where a lot of people are spending time with family. I mean, I am too. But I said, well, as I always say, it's a lot easier to do lives than to record and edit. So I wanted to put this out live so it'll just go up. But I wanted to do this because I've done several years of breakdowns on Easter, but I see things now that go beyond what I've even seen previously. And I don't think what I'm going to get into today, I don't think I've seen anything explain. I don't think I've seen Easter explained like this before. And that applies to me too. I've never broken it down in some of these areas that I'm going to explore today. And I want to keep it real simple and short and to the point. And we'll just people can come back and catch this on the replay, right? But I want to get this download etched into the internet archives right now while it's kind of fresh on my mental. And I wish I had more time to sit with this, but you know, I want to take advantage of this moment. Easter. Today is for Christians, this is considered Easter Sunday. And what is being recognized, celebrated, is the resurrection of the Savior. And this is a culmination of something that began. Peace, God, science. Let me make you a look. I'm gonna make you a mod. You've been rocking with me just in case. Okay. Help me police the chat while I'm rolling, good brother, if you don't mind. Shout out to Black Butterfly. She's kicking it with the family, but she always comes in and at least acknowledges. So peace to the sister. But yeah, man, if you help me out just in case we get some parasites, some pathogens that try to come in. Um, where was I? So it is celebrating the resurrection of the Savior, right? And the Savior in Christianity is Jesus or Yeshua. Now, also referred to as the Messiah. Now, what led up to this, of course, is that there was a betrayal and there was some type of adjudication, and there's the verdict comes down as being peace, Tiffany. The verdict comes down that this person is sentenced to be crucified, right? And that goes to the cross. He is buried, and then when they go back to visit the grave, and the gravestone has been removed, and there's nothing in there. And this The character then has an ascension after being found, this disbelief, and then there's that part, and then he ascends to heaven to sit on the right side of the Father. That's the story in a nutshell. And so today is celebrating the fact that the King is risen again, is resurrected. Now, some will say that this is a pagan celebration, and so you should not participate in this. Some will say it is blasphemous to identify the character as the Son of God, or and then as being also a human representative of God. That's blasphemous. Some will say that this is all just a bunch of BS. Now, we have come across in our journeys, many of us, the discovery that Easter is the same word as Esther, who is a character in the Bible saga, but that Easter coincides with Astarte, um, and it is where we get the word estrogen, right? So there's some basic framework for this story. The over Taking it to a more metaphysical level now, though, what we see ultimately is that this story is showing sacrifice. And here's one thing, arguably, wherever you stand in your religious walk or people who identify as being of a certain faith, one thing can't be denied. There is a protocol for sacrifice. Ramadan for a Muslim is sacrifice. For a Muslim, when let's say you go and close on a new house, you get you a new house, right? You are supposed to go and sacrifice a lamb, and the throat is cut. And this is considered to be halal. It is considered to be humane way of slaughtering the animal. And the slaughtering is a sacrifice. You're paying homage to your God, Allah, for this abundance that has been received. In the Old Testament, we see that the God of the Old Testament is constantly demanding a sacrifice. It says, "Bring me a choice calf." It says, "Burn me incense. Their aromas are pleasant, pleasing to me." It says, "Build me a Mishnah or tabernacle in the wilderness to receive my essence." All sacrifices. It says, "Bring me the first fruit sacrifice." It tells Abraham to go up on Mount Moriah and to sacrifice the son that the character of Abraham has waited about 100 years to finally father a son. And then it's told, go up there and give it up. So no matter what faith you say you belong to, the root is sacrifice. And so you'll look at some West African practitioners and will say that this is evil when you see somebody killing a chicken or this and that. But if you look from a 64,000-foot view, all these different traditions or religions are talking about sacrifice. You got to give up something. The argument within the Christian paradigm. There's even debates within that because some will adhere to the Old Testament. And then some Christians will say that we are not bound by Old Testament laws because of what? Because of today, because of Easter, because Jesus died for our sins. So we no longer have to do all of those things that were required in the Old Testament. So this is an argument goes on within the Christian faith that Jesus freed us from those old strictures and boundaries and mores and rules, as in you're not supposed to be eating pork as a Christian according to the Old Testament. According to the Old Testament, you're not supposed to be eating shrimp, crab, and all these bottom feeders. You're not supposed to eat it. For the majority of my up to my early adulthood, my grandmother did not eat shrimp, pork, in it because she adhered to the Old Testament rules. Even though all around her, even at church, they had those church dinners and they have stacks and slabs of pork chops out there. Black folk in the church, chitlins and all that. It's carte blanche. Eat what you want. There's no limitation within the majority of Protestant Christianity around your food, right? The Catholics adhere to some type of sacrifice with the rituals around leading up to Easter, Lent, and all these other things, Ash Wednesday, and these other, all some form of sacrifice. You got to give up something. So even though there's an argument within the Christian faith around uh peace, pink pedal, even though there's an argument within the Christian faith around adhering to Old Testament and Jesus died, the bottom line is even Jesus' death is a sacrifice. The ultimate reality is they all hinge on sacrifice. Christians even carry out a morbid ritual every month called the Eucharist or Communion Sunday. Take, eat, this is my body. Drink, this is my blood. Now, if you went in any other setting, that would sound like some Charles Manson or some type of crazed lunatic. Like you would say that's some old cult, you know? But then when you apply it to this, all that is lost. Oh, but this is fine. We're drinking the juice that represents Christ's blood. Really? And the cracker represents his body. Isn't that cannibalism? And then, oh, he caught the Holy Ghost. So that is a spirit speaking through this person. Isn't that necromancy? You're speaking to the dead. So you see these things that cross the board between peace, faith, peace, poetic heart. You see these things that cross the board, right? But because we're taught to think in a box, we can see something completely in other something can be the exact same thing but dressed up differently and we can't see how they all correlate. It can seem completely opposite and they're expressing the same type of energy. So what I wanted to do is I'm giving this foundation because the saga and drama around Easter is giving us a major clue about when we throw around that word magic and we throw around this word manifestation. Do we really know what these things mean? Now we know magic means power, and we know manifestation means to make your hands holy, right? But do we understand what is really behind these things as it regards to this realm that we live in? So I'm going to jump ahead for you and say, in the realm we live in, It is governed by sacrifice. You must pay something to receive something. Bottom line, there ain't no getting around it. You have to pay something. It is exchange. You give something, you receive something. And if you get something that is of great substance, you're going to have to give up something of great substance. Now, I am wearing my 13 shirt today, right? And I have talked about this 13 in a couple of instances, and I've made it known that this is going to be my one of my wares available really soon. But I even what I knew of 13, it keeps expanding. And I'm getting even more awareness. Something I'll reveal something more today about why 13 is so significant for me. My baby sister who passed away in 2022, 2021, was born on the 13th of December. My uncle John was born on the 13th of February. Two very important people in my life. My sun in my chart is at 13 degrees of Aquarius. Saturn, the traditional ruler of Aquarius, is at 13 degrees of Leo. 13 is very prominent for me. My jersey number when I wore it in when I played sports was 76. 7 and 6 adds up to 13. I showed a picture on a couple of lives back with me in this old picture from back in the 90s where I'm rocking this Mecca shirt that 13 on it. My introduction to anything about scripture came from my grandmother who lived at 157 Tacoma Circle. 157 adds up to 13. And I'm going to get ahead of myself here. Um, oh, Pink Petal said, can you review the yeah, I'll come back to that. The manifestation. But the 13, what was I saying? The 13. That at her address one oh, the 13. My mother planted a rhododendron bush while she was pregnant with me. And no matter what happened, that bush always would come back every spring. And when she told me that she planted that when she was pregnant with me, I always felt connected to that. I felt, special because that bush represented me, I thought. Well, it just so happens when we bought our house like 7 years ago, there's a rhododendron bush outside this house. And in Hebrew, let's get to the board. Let's get to the board and let me get this thing rocking. Bear with me. I'm waiting for my board to open. Pink Petal Wise coming open. Manifestation, when you look at the etymology of the word, man is hand and festus means holy. So manifestation is to make your hands holy, meaning that understanding whatever you have in your possession, how to make that turn, how to magnify that and get the most out of it. As in, everyone has gifts, everyone has talents, everyone has these innate things they possess, but a lot of times we are not aware of them. So manifestation, making your hands holy, is really becoming aware of your personal gifts because everyone has been given some gift or gifts. And that is what, as we approach Taurus season, which is keywords for Taurus, I have. Taurus is the epitome of manifestation. So as I recognize what I have symbolically in my hands, that is how we make our hands holy. I must know what I am in possession of, which then leads to self-worth. Key things for Taurus. So this rhododendron, which rhododendron, another word for rhododendron is rose. And in Hebrew, the word Shoshana can apply to the rose and the lily. And when we take this word Shoshana, right? If we spell it out in Hebrew, Shoshana, I made that wrong. It's too big. Let's go this. Let's see that six. Yeah. You look at this word Shoshana, when I spell it out in Hebrew, it equals 661. That reduces to 13. So these are things I didn't even recognize at first, right? Shoshana. And that has great significance for me personally. And the rose and lily are of great significance in the biblical drama. Um, Another thing is that again we said that Easter comes from Esther, and we know that Esther is a major figure in the Bible. She's a queen, right? And when you spell out the name Esther, it's an aleph, it's a Semek, and the Semek, this looks like the Ouroboros, or the snake, round in a circle. The Semek, it has a Ta and it has a Resh. So when you add those up, that adds up to again 661, which reduces to 13. So Easter carries a frequency of reduced to of 13. Shoshana, I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses. And we know the thing of the rose and the lily, those move across several traditions and hold significance. Now, we also have covered in the past in some of my videos that the word for one in Hebrew, which is akid, is an aleph, a ket, and a dalet. It adds up to 13. The word for behu, which is the void, it is a bet, a hay, and a va. Again, adds up to 13. And that's what I'm wearing on this shirt. It is from the nothing, which would be the void, which would be behu, comes the absolute, which would be the akid, which is one. And this is what computers are founded on. Computers are founded on occult science. It is from the nothing comes the absolute. Computers comprise of zeros and ones. Both of these again add up to 13. So Easter is the star. It is the Shoshana, the rose. It is the one. It is the absolute. It is the nothingness. It is it going through a journey. And the journey, what are we really celebrating from a Christian standpoint? What is being celebrated? The fact that Jesus came and freed humanity from being bound to the Old Testament laws. And how was this accomplished? By him dying for our sins, right? So let's look at a Hebrew word for sin. Let me see. That word is Qatar. I think that's the word. Qatar. Let me double check. Make sure my because that's a kit. I think it's Qatar. Let me go to my little Bible here on my phone. Qatar. Qatar. Or kit. Wait a minute. That's a kit. Katat. Katat. Yes. Pardon me. Katat. It's a kit. It is a tit, which is another version of a snake. See, look at that. Look at this letter right here. That's a snake coiled up ready to strike. The Semet letter is the snake in a state of um consuming itself and being birthed at the same time, which is the Ouroboros. But the Tet, which again is here, is the snake coiled up. It's ready to strike. So this would also be like the uraeus on the uraeus and Kemet on the crown, the Tet, right? So this is the Aleph, and then it finishes with a Ta. This is the Katet. It means sin, atonement. It means to misstep, a slip of the foot, punishment. But when you add it up, this is 8 plus 9 is 17. 17 and 1 is 18. A ta has a value of 400. So this adds up to 418. 418 reduces to 13. Now look how many different instances we reduce the number to 13. Peace, Natasha. You know, look how many instances we these words have reduced to 13. Now, the first letter of this word, katat, is a ket. Now, in each Hebrew letter has a full, each Hebrew letter is actually a word within itself. So there are letters that make up each letter. So if you fully spell out the letter ket, it is a ket. When you're spelling out a letter, it always starts with itself. All right. So ket, yud, ta. Ket has a value of 8, yud 10, ta 400. So the letter ket itself equals 418, which reduces to 13. Now, if you're doing something, if you're a little distracted, this is where you need to stop and you need to listen. And this is this here's the shit. Oh, you wanted the shit? Oh, I'll give you the shit, you know? Check this out. Each letter has a myriad of symbolic meaning to it. The letter ket, for one, is a fence. That's how you know this language is absolute brilliance. It's a fence. It's it's an enclosement. It's a hedge. It's a field. All right. It's also represents animals or beasts of the land. Okay, my pen's not working well. That's why I really don't write this bad, but damn. So this is where you got to use your mind and expand. A fence, a hedge, a field, animals, beasts of the land. Can you see what this is pointing to? It's in my mind, I'm seeing a circle or some type of perimeter around some land, and there are animals in there, right? Guess what? Ket also means? It means life. Think about this. What is the zodiac? When you really break down it in its literal translation, does not zodiac mean the circle of animals? Am I not right? Zodiac, circle of animals. I'm trying to catch y'all when you in here, so I've been meaning to. Yeah, it is a circle of animals. So Ket, meaning life, meaning animals, beast of the land, fence, hedge, field, is pointing to the zodiac, the circle of life. Now, what else does the circle represent in our reality? It represents the cell. So to sin is to slip, to fall short. It is to go down. What are we going down into? Into the circle of life, the wheel of samsara, the wheel, the circle, the cell, the human cells are the circles of life. That's what sin is. Humanity, becoming a human is the real sin. And when you become a human, you become ignorant. In this instance, in some instances, the animal or the beast represents primal power. So it's not like it's something exalted. But in other instances, the animal represents to be ruled by one's primal urges, to be unrefined, to be unaware of higher principles. It is ignorance. So in this instance, the sin is to be driven by one's animal nature and to be just sentient but not conscious. The sin is ignorance. And so the son dies for this, meaning the son dies by becoming a human. That's the death of Christ. It's the becoming of a human. But again, this same word sin is the same word as Esther, which is the star, which is fertility. It is the same as Shoshana, which is the rose, the lily. He's a lily in the valley, bright and morning star. It was all in all of these old hymns. that the old folks would sing, but they didn't know now. But if we go to the Song of Songs in the Bible, which really might be the most overlooked book, but the most revealing of what the whole thing is about. The Song of Songs opens, let me go to it. The Song of Songs, uh, it opens with this: Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for thy love is better than wine. Because the savor of thy good ointments, thy name is an ointment poured forth. Therefore do the virgins love thee. Draw me, we will run after thee. The king hath brought me into his chambers. We will be glad and rejoice in thee. We will remember thy love for thine wine, the upright love thee. I am black, but comely. O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. This is how you know this is feminine energy that is being conveyed. Peace, divine, right? Yeah, because whenever clothing is mentioned, whenever tents are mentioned, whenever curtains are mentioned in the Bible, it denotes femininity because the womb is a curtain, is a tent. The clothes, your mother makes your clothes in her womb. So she's the seamstress. So you are wearing her out. The word death means to be worn out. Birth is the death because you are wearing her insides, which is life. You are wearing it out as your clothes, your skin. It's death. That's what death means, to be worn out. So death is revelation. You are revealing her secret. You are the secret. I hope this makes sense. But the key here is I am black. When this in Hebrew translates to shakar. Haha, shakar. Shakar is spelled with a shin. Let me just spell it out for dramatic effect. Because I'm going to show you. Let me spell it out. Shakar. And this is, again, this is the word for one of the, in contextually, this is how black is referring in here. Shakar, spelled a shin. It has a ket. There's the ket again, and a resh. All right. This word adds up to 508. What does that reduce to? 5 and 8, 13. So look at these, just to recap. Shakar from Hebrew adds up to 13. The Shoshana or the lily or the rose, 13. Esther, from where we get Easter, 13. The number one, 13. The zero, the void, 13. Now, this word shakar translates to mean dawn. This is really what black is referencing here. The dawn, which is what? When the sun is rising. What are we ultimately celebrating at Easter? The Easter occurs after, it's the first Sunday after the first full moon after the vernal equinox. So, vernal equinox means here's autumn, here's winter solstice, summer solstice, here's E is or we'll put east, but that's vernal or spring. So after the sun has crossed Passover has passed over or crossed the vernal equinox. And after we've had the full moon, the first Sunday after both of those occur is when there's a celebration of Easter, which means the sun is what? It is rising, which would coincide with dawn. At dawn, the sun is rising. It is a spring fertility ritual. But it is not just as we reduce it to just, oh, that's pagan. No, it is bigger than just trying to reduce it to it's pagan. It is telling you how the whole reality of magical properties unfold in this realm. Because before the sun is celebrated at its rise, and let me say this too, there are two risings of the sun we celebrate. That's why Christmas is the other one. That's why you shouldn't be an idiot. Even though I'm having this presentation, don't you know I have family members texting me today, Happy Easter, happy. And guess what I say? Happy Easter right back to them. Don't be a knowledgeable idiot to where you know so much and that your people who still such and such adhere to these, you're going to be an asshole and be like, Easter is just a, don't be that idiot. Guess what? I'm Happy Easter, mama. Cousin text me Happy Easter back because you're supposed to understand the deeper meaning. You're supposed to be beyond the point where you're trying to criticize people about them celebrating these pagan holidays. Like, look, man, this stuff is real. They are just caught in the mythology. So what? You're supposed to be the master who understands the magic behind this. Christmas is magical. Understand that. The sun has fallen in its grave for 3 days. That's what a solstice is. The sun has set still in its grave for 3 days and then it rises. So, winter solstice is an Easter celebration because you're celebrating the sun coming out its grave. But then Easter itself is the second version of the same celebration because now the sun is officially rising out of his grave because the whole underworld is beneath the horizon. Libra is the sun falling beneath the horizon line. Easter or spring is the sun rises above the horizon. That's why we have a rising sign in your birth chart. We're looking over the eastern horizon. And the point that rises from our vantage point, that is your ascendant. You are ascending or you're rising, which is the dawn of you. Your ascendant in your chart is the dawn of your soul's emergence in this particular incarnation. And it comes down to black. Ain't that some black? Which would be what it really means is the antithesis of what we would associate with the word black. It means the bursting of sun, the return of sun. So I mean, it's some heavy stuff. So when in here, who's talking? It's the beloved. In the Song of Songs, the beloved is talking, and kiss me, such and such, and look upon me, and and it's all this conversation that has this sexual innuendo behind it. Well, what is spring? What are the animals doing in the spring? They in heat. The earth itself is in heat in the spring. As we move into Taurus, what does the earth do? It starts budding. The bud is sexual because here in Texas, We have these beautiful blue lilies. I think that's what they call them that pop up along the highway. That's how you know spring is here. Because the lilies, they got this beautiful violet color to them. And that is the earth. Taurus is attraction. It's the beauty because it is me showing you what I have. Libra is me expressing, but Taurus is the attraction of I am settled in my beauty. Look at it. Look at how bountiful I am. Look at my resources. Look what I got. It's all on display. Look at that. And it draws you. This saga is very Taurian. It's drawing you to its beauty because the attraction through Venus is what propagates life. It is drawing, it is because at the same time as this beauty emerges, the sun is rising. It's all types of sexual innuendo in here. It's rising. My attraction is making you rise because I want to draw the energy, becoming the magnet, drawing. So yes, it is a fertility ritual, but it is not as simplified as we make it and how we try to put it into rather what based on whatever camp a person is in, you know, we try to relegate it. It is showing you the mechanisms behind our reality here that sacrifice is necessary for life and that on the other side of the releasing and the sacrifice because what led to all of the son's troubles is Judas, Scorpio, the kiss of death. But now we are on the other side of what Taurus is showing. Now you can reap the benefits of the willingness to sacrifice. Look at the beauty. Look at what your efforts work towards. Let's see. I think that I think that about covered it. So now I can go into just kind of the wrap up because I always like to bring this back to right now so that this is just not. I don't want to be like a preacher. Oh, Jamal gave a good word today and da da da. Like this needs to be practical because aren't we in tense times and aren't a lot of people feeling like they're at their lowest point? Is not the crucifixion the lowest point of the Christ figure? Even with all this stuff, there's portions where this figure doubts its own path, crying out, "What did I do to deserve it? Have you turned your face away from me?" Or why? I can't remember the actual, but you know what I'm. You read the saga, it even questions. That's how tense things get. And many of us are in this point right now, in the crucible of change. And you feeling like you're losing everything. Everything's falling apart. And some people are still trying to hold on to things that maybe need to be let go, trying to avoid the crucifixion. But this story reminds us of the magic that governs this realm. You must give up something of value, and you can't cheat the code. You can't cheat and give up something that does not have much value. You got to give up something that you value. Abraham had to be willing to give up Isaac. Don't get caught in the story as it being literal. That is for children. You must insert yourself as the person in the story. Otherwise, you ain't hitting a lick at a stick. That is talking about you. You're Abraham, you're Isaac. You got to be willing to give yourself up. And then a ram appeared in the bush. All these things are talking about sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Kosher meat, it was killed the right way. Halal, it was killed the right way. But at the end of the day, it's still talking about something had to go. But it has to be done in the right way. You got to know how to take the character out in the right way. And it must be something that you value. You understand? Something that you value. So, Aleister Crowley is maligned for being this terrible. And he was a terrible, all these people were terrible who had this initial access to this knowledge. And they were like children playing around with chemicals. But our job is the chemicals they were playing with was really our essence. So if we get past, the people and look at the science, you can, oh boy, because I'm gonna do a video on everybody talking about that lunch with Gail King and those other five ladies. And of course it was fake. But they knew everybody now would catch that. That ain't the real deal. They don't care that everybody knows it was fake because that's not what they did it for. That's for those people at that level who spend all that time talking about it. Was Ray Charles could see that it was fake, but do you understand why they still did it? And part of that leads back to look at this. This is why you should never feel hesitant. And I'm not gonna be prideful anymore. Feel free to ring a ling my cash app because you ain't getting this on the internet. Most people get you information, don't ever want to tell you where they get stuff from. Man, you know, this is worth the this is worth paying for. This Let me read you something. By the way, my cash app is dollar sign the Gnosis 77. Dollar sign the Gnosis. Gnosis. That's how you spell Gnosis. But let me give you something. This is talking about Jack Parsons because I'm gonna do another um little dive into what the ritual is about. Because Jack Parsons was into rockets, right? And what was the thing just happened? Well, this is talking about a ritual that Parsons was doing. So there's a connection between Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard and Aleister Crowley. They all converge that, well, Parsons was like the protege of Crawley. He was supposed to be the successor. But and I got his chart. But the dude was just he was even Crawley thought he was a lunatic, you know? But he was doing this ritual where they were trying to raise Babylon. And this same energy that let me say this. We're focusing on Christ, right, at Easter. What is really being venerated is a goddess. That's the real secret behind this. This 13 is a goddess. There's there's this energy that has been pulling on me through my whole existence, my whole incarnation. It's been a goddess. She's behind the scenes steering everything. That's why it's venerating Easter, Esther. They are trying to venerate this same energy in this ritual, but they're trying because it is not a good or bad. They want to have access to it. It's a power. And so in this ritual, it says after the completed invocation, it which was more like a bard's love poem, Parsons burned the Enochian air tablet he had used in the January stage of his working. He then smashed a small statue of Pan, which had been a favorite possession. Listen to that closely. That's right, Straight Panther, Ishtar, Anana, all the same. He smashed a statue of Pan, which was a favorite possession. Remember that. He recorded that at the same instant, the roof of his guest house caught fire and was damaged, apparently attributing this destruction to supernatural forces, although the burning parchment may have had something to do with it as well. Regarding such sacrifices as the smashed statue, Crawley's Liber Astarte, listen to the name, Astarte. Now, Straight Panther just put in the chat, Ishtar Anana. Another name that coincides with them is Astarte. And this is Crawley talking about in his book, Liber Astarte. In verse 37 reads, having made by thine ingenium a talisman or pentacle to represent the particular deity, and consecrated it with infinite love and care, meaning you got to actually seriously have developed an affinity and an attachment to it. Do thou burn it ceremonially before the shrine, as if thereby giving up the shadow for the substance. But it is useless to do this. Listen to this. Unless thou do really in thine heart value the talisman beyond all else that thou hast. Remember, Parsons really valued his statue of Pan. So for him to destroy it was something that he gave up something of true value to him. And Crawley is reiterating this. It's useless to tear up something or destroy if it does not have intrinsic value to you. Then it says Crawley noted in his confessions, quote, I have noticed that every time I receive an important initiation, some cherished article mysteriously disappears. It may be a pipe, a pen, or whatnot, but it is always an object which is impregnated with my personality by constant use or special veneration. I cannot remember a simple occasion when this has not happened. The theory is that the elementals or familiar spirits in attendance on the magician exact, so to speak, a tip on all important occasions of rejoicing. In such magical workings, evidently, if you don't offer something to the spirits, they will take it anyway. So, what the spirits do is when they take something, they're giving you a clue that you just broke through something. Now, I did a video on TikTok and I said, and you can follow him if you on TikTok, look for at 720 Astrology. Follow me on there. But I did a video that said that when most people come to get a reading, they're looking to find out how can I avoid something I don't want to happen, or how can I get what I want. And it's hard time. Sometimes it's hard to tell people that they can't avoid something and they're not going to get what they want, at least immediately, and that they're going to have to give up something. Because in our reality, it's natural to try to avoid pain. But the breakthrough is oftentimes the pain. Whom the Lord loveth, he chastiseth. So your lowest point in your life right now may be the actual sacrifice for the next part in your journey. And maybe the sooner you can accept the crucifixion, the sooner you can have the resurrection. You don't want to let go. You want to figure out, how can I not suffer? Bobby says, suffer to the best of your abilities. There's a secret to that. There's a secret to giving up. To giving up that can, because I always go back to my old business. It took me so long. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you. It took me so long to let it go. I hung on, I hung on, I hung on. It took me so long to let it go. And the pain endured. And I set myself further back by my inability to accept the suffering and to allow for the mourning. I was trying to prevent the mourning because we mourn after the death. But I needed to allow it to happen so that I could get closer to start moving towards the resurrection. You got to give up something down here. You got to give up something that you value. We look at the Hollywood people and we think and we talk like it's entertainment. Such and such did the blood sacrifice. Well, remove the diabolical nature of it and look at the absolute value. That ultimately they had to pay a price for what they wanted. Some prices ain't worth paying for me for at a soul level. But at the absolute value, you have to pay for things down here. You got to give up something. We're all here because a man sacrificed himself. Your father died into your mother. The woman is going to outlast that man. He's going to die at some point. It's called ejaculation. That's how this realm is governed. You got to pay something. And the most magical thing to learn about Easter is that it is confirmation of the exchange process that goes on here. You give up something of great value, great substance, to receive something of greater value and greater substance. You can't cheat the code. You want to manifest? Give up something. What was her name? One of Carl Jung's proteges, Marie Louise von Franz. She said, and I think she had an alternative lifestyle. She said she and her housemate would take turns, and when they had a windfall, somebody would take the trash out, and they turned the trash taken out of the trash into a ritual. They were honoring the shadow because you got to feed it. You have to give up something. And if you think about the way our bodies work, you can't have health if you don't have elimination. Scorpio is the elimination. Taurus is food, it's indulgence. So if you just eat, 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 and you don't release anything, you'll be sick. We have to have exchange in this realm to have health and wellness at all levels. You got to give up something. So Easter teaches us the value of giving up things of worth. And the 13, the 13, it is the God is speaking. And I've come to realize that this energy's been behind the scenes the whole time, steering me, my ups, my downs. In our reality, 13 is considered unlucky. Unlucky 13 and this and this. Maybe this is why. There's so much power behind this and understanding. And I hope you should, y'all need to like this video. I need you to share this video, whatever, repost it on your social media, whatever. I've never seen a breakdown like this, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I've done these breakdowns on this, and I didn't even see it to this magnitude, and it's mind blowing to me. It's mind blowing. And I mean, I could go on and on because my mind keep going. I'm thinking about other things, especially that Shakar and that 508 and that number 58 coincides with the serpent. And it's broken down in the book, The Serpent Grail, which again, 5 and 8, 13, 13. So that's going to wrap it up. That's all I got. Um, oh, well, thank you, Natasha, for posting the Cash App. Pink Petal said, "Does this include opportunities like positions or contracts?" I don't know what you mean. I don't. Do you mean like having to give up something? Uh, if, anything that you really value, you know, in order for you to get something or to move forward, and you got to think nuanced in this, because you don't want to get yourself into you don't want to have your thinking go into something that's ridiculous, but you got to think like a child. So yes, a contract that you may have really wanted, a position you may have really wanted, you may have to give it up. And it's all about being in communion with your soul. Because the sun, which is what we're really looking at, the sun, the journey of the sun here with this saga, is representing the soul. And the soul, in essence, is feminine. So a lot of times we have to give up something that in the material world makes, oh, it just seems to me makes so much sense. But at a soul level, it ain't jiving. Which means if you give it up in the material world, you're gonna have to suffer some in the material world to feed your soul, but then your soul will reward you with a joy on the other side that you can't fathom. One of the greatest compliments I've ever gotten came from one of my clients who said, one thing about you, she said, you'll F off some money. I'm thinking, how you know? You didn't even know me long enough to know, but she's known me long enough to know that. I'll, I'll, I'll walk away from some money and suffer. And my family has suffered because of me. I got a degree in journalism. I can write professionally. Written, I have I have designed people's whole website, as in write out all the copy. I can do all types of things, you know. But at a soul level, I used to write for dentists in Canada, all over the nation, for this little marketing company. I hated it. I hated it. I had a job at Progressive Insurance, and they were grooming me. It's like, you don't think that if you stayed here that you could advance? I'm thinking, I know I could, but I hate this environment. I hate you. I hate I hate all these mood swings. I'm not trying to put up with nobody's. I'm hard enough to deal with myself. I walked away and suffered. I have suffered. I have suffered. I have suffered. But see, I have Lilith in my workhouse. And Lilith, I can't go alone to get along. She creates calamity in my life when I try to go alone to get along. So I've had to learn to endure suffering so that my soul can be edified. This stuff right here edifies my soul. The astrology, sitting down and looking at people's lives and substance, because you can't BS me when you come for a reading. I see you. You can't bullshit me. I see your chart. If you give me the right time of birth and the right date, right location, you can't finesse me. I see you. So now we're gonna have to deal with the real you. And for an Aquarius sun, that's what I want. I hate small talk. So all these things to get to this point where I can experience this joy, I've had to suffer. That's why I use my real name on the internet. I don't have some made up. I'm Jamal Robinson. Google me, whatever. You nosy, you want to figure out, Google me. I'm me. And I've had to suffer because you need to create a persona online. You need to put yourself up here and put the people down, and then they want to reach up to you and they'll spend more money. I can finesse you, but I don't want to. I want to be appreciated for the true value that I feel like I bring to the world. And you're going to have to suffer if you take that route. Everything costs down here, but it's all about what cost do you want to pay and what are you looking to receive. And that's the real magic. That's real magic. The shit I talk about is real and it's not theory. It's not theory. There's no theory in what I talk. It ain't no copying nobody's shit. It ain't no replaying it. It's the real deal. I defy you to find this on the internet. And I ain't being arrogant. Not being arrogant. The people who've gotten to know me better, they know I'm not putting on the front on the camera. I am what I am, you know? So, and I say to you that this is a beautiful time. Man, can you just feel, even whatever going on, can you just feel this, the fact that the earth is heating up? Do you understand what's happening when we go into Taurus season? Taurus season begins 40 days after the vernal equinox. That's why 40 is so significant. 40 is the time that it takes the earth to adjust to a new season. It's always 40 days after the door of the season opens that we feel it. And Taurus, we're moving into the time where the earth has, in the northern hemisphere, has adjusted and it's officially, ooh, it's alive. The temperature increases. So you need to be thinking about, where did the death occur in these last 6 months or so? Have you accepted it? And ain't it perfect that we're having this discussion as Mars opposes Pluto? Go and watch the video I did on Mars and Leo opposite Pluto. I'm telling you, this is divinely timed because Pluto deals with the death, and Mars is fighting for ego, consciousness, and presence. And Pluto makes us see where the death has happened and has had to happen or needs to happen. And if we are acting out right now, it's because somewhere we ain't allowed it to happen. The transition. The transition. But Mars is gonna separate from Pluto. Pluto's about to station retrograde. It's gonna do what it does in Aquarius, but at least we won't have Mars there as an adjutant. And Mars is going to move on through Leo. And this is where the heart is supposed to become reinvigorated. The fire is supposed to be. This is fire on fire. I don't care what's going on and we'll talk about what's going on in the world because we need to be aware. We need to be in the world, not other world. So what's going on in your world? What magic are you creating? What creativity in Leo are you being feeling the urge to act upon? Mars in Leo. Mars is the urge, it's the drive, it's the desire. How are you gonna take this moment, this Easter, and resurrect you? This should be the message should be going out across the pulpits today. You understand? So this is peace to everybody came in natural market. Say I need that money. I need the money. I'm about the money too. Don't make no bones about that. I'm about the bread, but it's context, you know. I've learned I gotta give. Let me tell you. Can I give you a secret? To give y'all a money secret. If you need some money, spend some. Now, I ain't talking about going out and spend your last money on some bullshit bag or some a Gucci belt, but spend your money somewhere that it can live. It's all magic. Sometimes when you don't have, you feel like you don't have, you tend to hold on tight. And when you hold on tight and you focus on that, you can't, it's really even the tithing that goes on in the church is still magical. Know that. It's just that the institution is raggedy, but the exchange is true magic. It's all wrapped up in this Easter thing. Sacrifice, flow, flow. You need more flow. You got to spend something somewhere. That's why I hate being around cheap people. Get the fuck away from me. That cheap shit. Want everything in the world, don't want to spend nothing. Put that money in circulation. Sometimes I'll go and buy me a book. You know, I might do this or do I might like I subscribe to Scribit where you get like you can get all those PDFs and stuff. And just little things. Because when I put that energy towards something of value, then it then increases my rank as far as I am showing I'm putting myself in the loop to bring something back to me. It's real. It's real. Sacrifice. You gotta pay something down here to get ahead. All right. Peace to everybody who joined in on this Sunday today. I hope y'all have a magical rest of the year. Because this is the real, this is the kickoff. Feed on this energy. Feed on it. I'm telling you, I just feel, I feel, I feel something. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And it's strong. And I feel everybody really pay attention to the summer solstice this year. This is gonna be a magnanimous summer solstice. If you make it such. I believe as a collective that people have an opportunity for their second half of the year to be better than the first. I do believe. do believe. So don't flounder in the waters of negativity. The test was you were supposed to continue enduring and creating while in the waters, the murky waters. You were supposed, because that's what alchemy is about. Something is reduced to its lowest level, which is what sin is, reducing something to its lowest level and then refining it. The smooth ashlar, the finished work, the great work. The great work is done in the dark. 720astrology.com. Know the stars to know yourself. Stay down till you get up. When you get up,